UFC 323, Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan 2 just ended, and this is going to be my full card UFC 323 post-fight. Two GOATs of their division lose their titles at UFC 323, which is the last pay-per-view of the ESPN era before we go to Paramount Plus in early 2026, the last pay-per-view of 2025, the last title fight of 2025. This is insane. And two GOATs lose their titles because in the co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja loses his flyweight title against Joshua Van via, I hate to say it, freak injury. We are going to break it all down in this video. If you guys enjoy these videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you're not already subscribed. And do me a favor, like the video. I would greatly appreciate it. I mean, the main event was insane. Petr Yan absolutely dominating Merab Dvalishvili to win back the bantamweight title. We're going to break that down in a little bit, but let's jump to the very first fight of the night. We have Muhammadjon Naimov versus Mairon Santos. Santos gets a third round TKO. Fight was kind of close up until that point, but I had Santos winning. First round was kind of close. Naimov landed some decent kicks, but Santos tagged him with a good right hand, and it was relatively close. There was a head clash in the first round where they had to briefly stop the fight. Second round, Naimov kind of clinched up a storm in the second round. Santos was like yawning and kind of slapping him on his back. But I thought Santos landed a couple good low kicks, landed the better shots, was able to finally exit the clinch. And then third round, early third round, Santos throws a leg kick. Naimov squares up his stance, throws a right hand, and boom, Mairon Santos hits him with the two-piece, drops him down bad. As soon as the right hand landed, it was a jab and then a right hand. As soon as it dropped Naimov, he just curled up. He was done. He was done. He was hurt badly. Santos finishes him. Great win for Santos. Naimov, I'm not going to sit here and act like he's the elite of the elite, but he's a decent fighter. And Santos went out there and, you know, it was kind of a boring fight. First two rounds weren't particularly great. And then you have that third round where he just goes out there literally 21 seconds into the third round, hits him with that two-piece, puts him to sleep basically. It was more of a TKO, but you get the point. And Santos looked really good, man. His striking looked really good. He stuffs, I think, 1 or 2 takedowns from Naimov. I don't know what it has. It says 0 for 5. I didn't see 5 takedowns, but I guess they're counting some of those like clinch trip attempts. But yeah, Santos showed good takedown defense, good leg kicks, good ability to deal with a little bit of adversity because he got the worst end of the head clash in the first round, got a bit of a bump on his forehead, and then went out there in a kind of boring fight and saved it in the third round with the performance where he puts him down with the right hand. So good win for Mairon Santos. Next fight on the card, we have Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Antonio Trócoli. Easy win for Mansur. I mean, easy takedown. Trócoli tried to isolate the arm. Malik pulls out. Ends up going back down, kind of beating him up a little bit, almost in full mount for a second. Trócoli starts to scramble out, looking for a takedown to kind of build his base, and Malik just latches up a guillotine and subs him. Deep, super deep standing guillotine. Nasty finish, but does Trócoli really belong in the UFC? Does he really belong in the... I don't necessarily think so. So Malik gets it done. He didn't get touched. He took no damage, and he subs Trócoli in the very first round. 1 minute and 9 seconds into the first round, Malik gets the guillotine win. Next fight on the card, Iwo Baraniewski versus Ibo Aslan. This was an insane fight to the point I have it up right here because I want to go back and rewatch this with you guys. That's how insane this fight was. It was just an insane flirt. Both guys rocked multiple times. It was straight up insane. So I'm actually going to play it because the exchanges were absolutely insane. I'm not going to play it on screen, but I'm just going to go through it live because it was absolutely insane. And to almost recap it, I'm going to forget stuff. So essentially, you have them starting off trading some leg kicks. And then I think Ibo rushes in and clips him. Oh, no. Iwo looks for a takedown. On the way up, he lands a decent knee. Then they both start smashing each other. I'm not even playing it right now. They both start smashing each other with short shots in the clinch. And I believe it's Ibo who goes down at first. So let's see. Lands a knee. They're both cracking each other with short shots. And Ibo even lands a couple good short shots in that clinch as well. And then Iwo clips him with a right hand, a short right hand, puts him down, kind of in a seated position, then starts looking for the finish. But Ibo gets right up and then smashes him with a right hand and puts him face down. So Ibo gets dropped, recovers, gets up, puts Iwo down. It's Ibo and Iwo. That's why I'm so damn confused. Puts him down with a right hand. So now the ref is actually starting to rush in to stop the fight because it looks like Ibo's going to get the TKO. I mean, put him face down. Iwo scrambles up, gets to the fence. Ibo's smashing him against the fence and lands a nasty right hand, but his hands are wide. He's just literally extending the craziest shots, and I think he gets clipped here. He's smashing him up against the fence, uppercut, just swarming him right now. And then boom, I think he gets dropped. Boom. Gets dropped with a picture-perfect right hand. Literally does a 360 on the ground. It still gets crazier. He starts getting smashed on the ground. Iwo's just smashing him on the ground. But Ibo grabs onto a single leg, is able to get back up, starts eating him 12 to 6, or not even 12 to 6 elbows. Those, I like to call them Travis Brown elbows up against the fence. Then they're up against the fence, and Ibo starts swarming him again. Starts landing big shots, and then I think he gets clipped again and backed up, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he gets clipped here. Oh, he starts backing up after he throws a knee. Iwo jumps after him, goes after him, and then Ibo comes in, and this is where he gets clipped. Lands a big shot, throws a big right hand that Iwo just barely blocks. Then he's trying to swarm him up against the fence again, but not really landing on the guard, and eats a nasty right hand counter. Fucking insane fight. Insane fight. He was done. He gets grounded, pounded out cold. But essentially, you have the Czech Congo Pat Barry of 2025. I mean, both guys were rocked multiple times. Both guys were close to being finished multiple times. Insane heart from both guys. I know Ibo's on like a crazy losing streak right now. This may have saved his job. Saved his job. And what's crazy is both guys, like multiple times they went down. The referee honestly could have jumped in and it would have been like, but like you wouldn't have necessarily complained. I think it was Goddard. So as much as I shit on Goddard for being a horrible ref, great reffing in this fight. Absolutely great reffing in this fight. Stopped it when it finally needed to. Maybe a hair late, but really not a bad job there. Insane fight. For both guys to get rocked so many times and somehow survive. And then for Iwo to be getting swarmed and then basically has the wherewithal to kind of cover up. And then boom, picture perfect right hand counter, puts him down and then puts him out. Great win from Iwo Baraniewski. And yeah, I just watched that fight with you guys essentially live while I'm doing this video because I knew it was just so many exchanges. I was like, I'm going to forget this. I'm going to absolutely forget this. So good win from Iwo. See, I knew I was going to do that. Next fight on the card. We have Edson Barboza versus Jalin Turner. Jalin Turner gets a first round TKO. Barboza gets caught. Barboza gets aggressive early. Gets caught with a nasty elbow that starts bloodying him up. Then he gets dropped with the right hand. Jalin Turner follows him to the ground, starts looking for the finish, landing a little bit of ground and pound. Then he's like kind of pausing for a minute. Barboza is able to try to get a half of a sweep and scramble back up. But then Turner just hits him with a nasty body kick and then lands another punch. And then he realizes Barboza's really out of this, starts walking Barboza down, swarming him up against the fence. What I liked about it, and actually Joe Rogan called it on the broadcast as well, Joe Rogan's literally a bummy commentator, but this time he was actually doing a good job. Turner like swarmed him up against the fence and it looked like it was over. Then Turner kind of reset. Didn't get too crazy. Kind of calmly walked him down. It was clearly over. Barboza was out on the feet, but Turner didn't get too crazy. Swarmed him a little bit more. Caught him with a punch. Dropped Barboza up against the fence. And finally the referee jumped in. This was expected. We have to be honest. This was expected. How could you not expect Jalin Turner to get it done against Edson? Edson Barboza's like 40 years old now. Turner's 30. I know he retired and I was worried about his confidence, but they gave him a really perfect matchup to return from his brief retirement. So Jalin Turner right back in the mix in the lightweight division. I don't know how he cuts that weight, man. He's massive. He's absolutely massive, but he gets it done against Edson Barboza. Good win for Jalin Turner. I wonder who they'll book him against next. Let me actually pull up the rankings. I'll actually open the rankings real quick. Who could they book him against next? Because I guess you throw him probably into the rankings, maybe. I don't know. I mean, Barboza's not... Dude, Ignacio Bahamondes... Didn't he already fight Ignacio Bahamondes? Yeah, he got subbed by Bahamondes. So maybe another... Dude, I would love to see... Give me Jalin Turner versus Michael Chandler. I know it's kind of weird throwing him up into the rankings, but we got to get some of these old wash dudes. I mean, I guess maybe Turner will take Dawson's spot. I don't know how they'll rectify this, maybe move Hoofy up or Bahamondes up and then put Turner at 15. And then Turner can fight Dariush or Chandler or Moicano rematch. Wouldn't mind any of those matchups. Because Grant Dawson's got to get out of the rankings after that performance. Really, Chandler shouldn't be a number 11. I mean, Chandler being a number 11 in the lightweight rankings is an absolute disgrace to the sport. So I wouldn't mind seeing Turner get a big fight next, especially get some of these old kind of, I hate to say it, has-beens out of the lightweight division Turner did what he needed to do. I wondered about his confidence. Barboza was kind of a good returning opponent, but no easy fight. Like, this is still a quality win over a legend who's not completely washed up. But Turner did exactly what he needed to do, and he got Barboza out of there. Can't wait to see who Turner fights next. Next fight on the card, we have Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. I mean, Vettori had some moments, failed a couple takedowns, just got caught with the bigger shots. Round one, Ferreira got an easy double leg. Vettori got right back up. Right at the end of the first round, Vettori landed a good flurry, but I still thought Ferreira took the round. Second round was kind of boring. I thought Ferreira just landed the better, bigger shots late in the second round. And then the third round, it looked like Vettori could put the pace on him, but Vettori wasn't really able to do it. I mean, Brunno early started really landing, but then Vettori started coming back late and landed some good shots. And I think like the last maybe 30 seconds, Vettori landed a big punch, and it seemed like Ferreira was exhausted and hurt. And Vettori didn't go after him because he has no fight IQ. I'll say this, Vettori has a crazy chin. He took some bombs from Ferreira, not insane bombs, but a lot of shots that, and especially considering Ferreira missed weight, a lot of shots that would have rocked other guys. And Marvin Vettori, with his crazy, insane chin, was just able to absorb that damage and keep fighting. I think Vettori's done. Where's he at in the rankings right now? Vettori's sitting at number 14. Yeah, he's done out of the rankings. I guess I don't know if Bruno Ferreira will get in the rankings. He missed weight. But yeah, I mean, it was just mediocre Marvin Vettori. That's kind of his nickname. He's just not great anywhere. His jiu-jitsu isn't great. His grappling isn't great. His striking isn't great. The only thing that's great about him is his chin. And he showed it in this fight, but it was a little too late, man. He didn't go on the offense. There's an argument to be made that maybe he won the first round. And then the third round, he had a moment to go after. I don't think he would have won the first round anyway. I don't remember the scorecards. But I just think Vettori's done, man. He's like a 50-year-old man, even though he's not really. He's still kind of young. I can't believe Vettori was a top contender at one point in time. Bruno Ferreira gets it done via unanimous decision. Next fight on the card. Opening up the regular prelims, we have Nazim Sadykhov versus Ziam. Ziam gets it done. Brutal second round TKO with 2 elbows, perfectly placed elbows. But that's not even the story of the fight. The story of the fight is that Ziam, I love this pick, man. I love that I stuck with my belief in Ziam. Ziam reminds me of the way I felt about Charles Oliveira on his way up. Like, he might lose and have some losses against some bummy fighters, but I felt like he was still improving and still young enough to be able to become a legit contender. And I'm ready to anoint Ziam a top 15 lightweight, maybe even a top 10 lightweight. He starches Chandler right now because the story of this fight is he dominated Nazim Sadykhov in every aspect of this fight, picked him apart, destroyed him, even out-grappled him. There was a clinch early, took him down, easy single leg, took him down, took his back, controlled him for the entire first round, looking for a rear naked choke. Second round, just tagging him up. Good combinations. Sadykhov shot a takedown. Ziam almost got taken down, but wizarded and was able to get back up. Then basically Ziam was just tagging him really good. And then at the end of the second round, Ziam tagged him hard, kind of rocked him a little bit. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? He shot a takedown. Got like a half a takedown where Nazim's like seated up against the fence. Might have been squatted down, maybe on one knee. And we're like at the last couple seconds of the round. And it seems like it's going to go to the third round. Ziam comes over the top with a smashing elbow, hurts him badly. Then the same elbow again and just basically puts him down. He swarms him a little bit. The horn goes off. Herzog steps in and then waves the fight off. It was kind of a weird stoppage because it really was the horn before the official stoppage, but it was done. The fight was done. Nazim had nothing for him, and it was over, man. Could he have lived to fight a third round? Sure. He would have just took more brain damage. Ziam, right now, and I hate to keep jumping back to the rankings. Right now, Ziam, like the Hoofy fight's interesting. The Bahamondes fight's interesting. He would slump Grant Dawson. He would slump Dariush. He would slump Chandler. He beats Moicano. Ziam's borderline top 10 right now, and I see him being a top 10 fighter. Man, he keeps improving each and every fight, and Nazim is no easy task. I thought Nazim would have the grappling advantage. Nope. Ziam is shoring up that hole in his game. And what I look for in future champions, not that I'm saying Ziam's definitely going to be a future champion, it's guys that I see improving from fight to fight. And Ziam is like 29 years old, looking incredible. Striking looks amazing. Clinch work looks really good. Finishing instinct, I mean, to attack him with like 3 seconds left instead of just kind of stalling out. Probably, maybe Nazim was doing that. Oh, there's only 3 seconds left. Kind of let down his guard a little bit. Ziam went on the attack. Boom, brutal elbow. I know Aljamain Sterling was saying back of the head. I didn't see that at all. So, fair Ziam, nasty second round TKO. Get him a ranked fight. He needs a ranked fight in his next fight. Lightweight division is starting to heat up. We're about to get some of these old dudes out of here and get some of this fresh meat into the lightweight division. I cannot wait to see who Fair Ziam fights next. Good win over Nazim Sadykhov. Next fight on the card, Maycee Barber versus Karine Silva. I believe I had all 3 rounds for Maycee Barber. I believe I had all 3 rounds. Karine Silva was able to get a takedown, took her back for the majority of the first round. But then Maycee Barber reversed position, landed some ground and pound with like 20 seconds to go. Ate an illegal up kick from Karine Silva at the end of the first round. I thought Barber probably stole that, but maybe not. Second round, Maycee took her down. There was a scramble, another illegal up kick. She kind of gets up, kind of stumbles a little bit. Mark Smith's like, that didn't even land. I thought it landed hard initially. And then they showed a replay from a certain angle. I was like, oh, that didn't land really that hard. And then they showed the right angle, and I was like, oh, that did land hard. I still think Maycee was selling it a bit. There's no point deduction. There's just, oh, Karine, watch out, even though it's your second fucking illegal up kick. Like, brutal illegal up kick. And then they don't even put her back down. So essentially she got up from an illegal move, and they basically let her stand back up. But then Barber just takes her back down again, just mauls her, takes her back down, starts landing some decent ground and pound. And then Karine Silva, last 10 seconds, somehow gets like a triangle, ends up mounted on Maycee, but doesn't really do any damage. So 10-9, I had it for Barber in the second round. So I had arguably maybe the one for Silva, first round for Silva, second round for Barber. Third round, Barber clearly won. Out-hustled her, I believe took her down, controlled her for a bit, beat her up, was winning on the feet anyway. Karine Silva was tired, exhausted, really didn't have any fight in her, and Barber landed the better shot. So Maycee Barber gets the decision win. You know how they replaced Weili with Dern? They're going to try to replace Valentina with Maycee Barber. They're like, Valentina, you want to go up to 135? You want to go up to 135, Valentina? Let's get Maycee in her brown eye. And let me stop. But yeah, Maycee Barber gets the decision win. Next fight on the card, Terrance McKinney versus Chris Duncan. Man, Terrance McKinney is live by the sword and die by the sword. Fight was insane. Terrance McKinney comes out like he always does, shot out of a cannon. Swarms him, is hurting him, swarms him, and is hurting him on the feet, tagging him. I don't even know what punches landed. There was like an uppercut. There was good right hands. Duncan was still trying to protect himself and throwing back the entire time. Ends up tagging McKinney. McKinney, instead of trying to reset, just immediately goes back on the offense. Gets super aggressive even more, even after getting clipped up, and Duncan's like kind of staying in the pocket, boom, countering well. And then McKinney gets hurt bad. I think it was an elbow that dropped him. It was also partly a head clash. There was an elbow almost into a head clash. Go back and watch the replay. McKinney gets dropped. He's on the ground, basically out, getting beaten up on the ground badly. But I think it was Goddard again. And in this case, doesn't step in. Duncan's just punching him and punching him and punching him against the fence. But I think Goddard's like, come on, you got to move. I'm not 100% sure it was Goddard. But he's like, come on, you got to move, you got to move, you got to move. And then every time he would like clap like he was going to get ready to stop it, McKinney would move just enough, but he ended up taking a lot of damage. But you can really see he's not there. Like he's basically out on his feet kind of, but still kind of conscious. And then eventually Chris Duncan just says, okay, I'm gonna latch up an anaconda choke. And he latches up an anaconda choke and gets the first round sub over Terrance McKinney. Man, it's crazy. Terrance McKinney is first round or bust. And he tried to get Duncan out of there. And he just couldn't do it, man. He just could not do it. It was nasty. It was a nasty win for Duncan. Duncan absorbed that damage. He knew what was going to happen. He prepared for it, and he went out there and was able to get Terrance McKinney out of there in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Great win for Chris Duncan. Terrance McKinney's always just going to be that fun prelim fighter. I hate to say it. That's what he's going to be. I know people had high hopes for him. He's just that fun prelim fighter that can get first-round stoppages, and maybe that'll keep him around in the UFC for a while. But it's hard to really say. So good win from Chris Duncan in, I believe it's like the co-main event of the prelims. I just made that up. Yeah, I just made that up. And I need to take a drink real quick, guys. Yeah, Chris Duncan gets it done. Yeah, I've been talking too much tonight. 6-hour stream earlier. Anyway, next fight on the card. We have the featured prelim, Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. Grant Dawson has a glass jaw. He has a glass jaw. He was landing some decent kicks, but he looked sloppy. He shot a couple takedowns. Never even got close. I knew as soon as I seen him in the corner, I said, effeminate, cucky vibes. Please let me change my pick back. But I can't because I have the video, so it stops me from kind of... I'm really going to have to actually start changing picks sometimes live on stream. I know that sounds crazy. I seen Dawson in the corner looking really cucky and looking really beta. And I said I want to change my pick to Torres because I flipped back and forth. And then once I saw him in the cage, I'm like, no. You can go watch the stream if you don't believe me. I was like, oh my God, Torres is going to slump him. And then sure enough, Dawson's like playing the kicking game from range. You can see Torres is a little bit worried about the grappling of Dawson. And then eventually Dawson overextends a little bit. Torres puts a right hand on him, puts him down. He just folds. I think it was a right hand uppercut that put Dawson down. And he just curled up into a ball like he did against Bob Green. Dawson has a glass jaw. Get him out of the rankings. I guess Torres could be in the rankings too. Man, lightweight is really starting to heat up. We got Ziam, we got Turner, and we got Torres all like heading towards the rankings right now. Man, Beneil and Chandler, your days are fucking numbered. Your days are really numbered, man. How good is lightweight starting to really mature to be? We're getting some of these old dudes out of here. But yeah, Torres gets it done. Great performance. Was weary about the takedown, found his kill shot, put him down, put him away. And it reminded me exactly of the Green fight. Like Dawson takes a shot. I don't know if he's actually out or he's playing the Court McGee. Like, is he playing the Court McGee where he just falls down and is curling up? Or is he actually really out? I don't know. But Torres gets it done. Nasty KO win in the first round, 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Looked big, looked strong, looked athletic. And, man, good win for Manuel Torres against Grant Dawson in the feature prelim. Next fight on the card, opening up the final American pay-per-view ever, or at least for the next 7 years, while Paramount pays $7.7 billion. We have Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. First round, essentially, Jan chopped the legs a little bit. Guskov seemed to be pacing himself. Every time Guskov seemed to let his hands go out, which was like twice in the first round, he landed. Yan stumbled him with a jab, had a really good jab at one point, but Yan clearly won the first round in my opinion. Second round, Yan gets dropped with a nasty right hand, then gets basically almost TKO'd on the ground, but then Bogdan just starts lighting him up with elbows, good 12-6 elbows, good damaging elbows. Yan kind of went for a half-hearted heel hook attempt at one point. Second round, I could tell Guskov was exhausted by the end of the second round. I'm like, oh no. But second round, clear 10-8 round for Bogdan Guskov. No doubt about it. Third round, Jan's kind of walking him down, but Guskov's got his hands at his waist, kind of feeling more confident, but is tired clearly, and was tagging Jan a bit. And it was a close round up until like the last 5 seconds. Jan dropped him with a punch. There was one moment in the middle of the third round where Bogdan claimed that he was poked. I went back and watched replay. I think it was a knuckle. We didn't get to see a slow-mo, so I don't know for sure. And then it's like razor close, could go either way in the third, but then boom, Jan drops him at the very, like the last second of the third round. I thought that stole the round for Jan Blachowicz. I had a draw. The judges gave it a draw. So it's weird, man. Jan's such a tough out. Even though he's 42 years old, he is just so hard to get out of there. It's insane when you look at his you look at his resume over the last few years. It really is insane. So he gets a draw with Bogdan, close fight with Ulberg. Some people thought he won that fight. He got robbed by Ferreira, draw with Magomed that he probably should have lost. Yeah, he should have lost. I thought he lost that fight. His last actually like real loss is crazy. It's against Glover Teixeira. I know that sounds crazy because I did think he lost to Ulberg, but you get my point. So Jan's still a very tough out. Bogdan Guskov, his cardio is an issue. His cardio is always going to be an issue. I will never believe his cardio. People made up those myths about Khamzat Chimaev. Bogdan's just... He was pacing himself the whole first round because he did not want to get tired. Boom, he lets his hands go for a minute in the second round. Boom, all of a sudden he's fucking exhausted from throwing a couple elbows as I stumble over my words. Yeah, throwing a couple elbows in the second round. So either way, draw. I think it's the right call. Jan Blachowicz still in the mix at light heavyweight. Bogdan Guskov proves that he can compete with some of the best guys in the world. And yeah, we get a draw. I think it's the right decision. Next fight on the card, we have Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. I knew this was going to happen, boys. Talbot whoops Cejudo like a dog, man. Peyton Talbot put on a hell of a performance here, which I expected. I picked Peyton Talbot. I was pretty confident in Peyton Talbot, but I was like kind of having a little bit of reservations. I was like, you know what? Honey Barcelo's fight wasn't that long ago. Cejudo came out early, was really smashing the legs. of Talbot, even had Talbot like switching stances. But man, Talbot was just so much cleaner in the striking, was just tagging Cejudo, landing some good shots of his own, had a good inside trip, and then double-legged Henry Cejudo as well. Talbot clearly won the first round. Cejudo almost gets finished in the second round, gets dropped badly, almost finished, ends up on top. He ends up getting a takedown, and I think he ended up looking for like a lateral drop. Talbot ends up on top, but Cejudo like out scrambles him and ends up on top too. But Talbot lays there for a little bit, but then finds his way back up, starts smashing the body of Cejudo, like ripping body shots, body punches in the clinch or in tight. Starts smashing him up against the fence. Had Cejudo hurt to the body. Starts smashing him up against the fence. But then Henry was able to survive and he was throwing back heat. You could tell this was in Cejudo's mind. This was really his last fight because you could see he was like, look, I'm going to lose, but I'm going to go out on my sword. I'm going to go out on my shield one way or another. Talbot clearly wins the second round. Third round, Cejudo tried to grapple, was just getting stuffed. Got one takedown in the third round. Peyton Talbot right back up. Talbot was just wrecking him on the feet. Hurt him to the body again. But Cejudo was in it, man. Even though this was a domination from Talbot, like it wasn't like a complete and utter just destruction. Cejudo had some moments, really was chopping the legs, but then he got away from that later in the fight. But man, Talbot looked incredible. He looked stronger in the wrestling. He looked stronger in the clinch. His striking looked incredible. He was tagging Cejudo, has a great chin. And he took some damage himself. And even at the end of the third round, it's like pointing to the center and swinging wild with Cejudo as the guy who's winning. I mean, it was an incredible performance from Talbot. I do think Talbot went from overrated to underrated. I think he's going to be overrated now. Cejudo, and the UFC gave Cejudo his little package at the end, which I do respect the UFC for doing that. I thought Cejudo was really ready to quit. I thought like end of first round, I said, oh, Cejudo wants out of there, man. But I think Talbot is going to get a little bit too much credit. I just know the fan base. He's going to get a little bit too much credit for beating kind of a washed Henry Cejudo. But it still is a quality win. And it shows me that Talbot, the way he did it, he still deserves a lot of credit. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve any credit for this win. I just believe that the fan base is now going to kind of have him a bit overrated. Cejudo never really wrestled to victories. That's why I didn't pick him in this fight. I'm like, he's not going to wrestle to win. He's old and washed. He didn't wrestle in his prime to victories. And Talbot really made him pay on the feet. So great performance from Talbot. I can't wait to see who he fights next. I'll say this right now. Peyton Talbot's better than Sean O'Malley ever was. I would love to see Talbot versus O'Malley. Fuck Song Yadong. Get him out of the fight. Get him out of the fight. Book O'Malley versus Talbot, January 24th. Would love to. Who else would love to see that? I think Talbot would absolutely wreck Sean O'Malley. Maybe I'm dead wrong. I think he would. Man. But Talbot does get a little bit crazy. But I think he just was bigger and stronger. Honestly, Cejudo looked like he was a natural flyweight. Talbot looked much bigger. It's crazy that Talbot was easily taking him down. Easily taking him down. Talbot only got controlled for that little bit, like maybe a minute in the second round, maybe a minute and a half max. And he was able to get to a hip and eventually scramble back up. And Cejudo was trying to hold him down with everything that he had. He had the leg laced up, like figure four, just holding on tight, begging, praying that Talbot couldn't find his way back up. So respect to Cejudo for going out on a shield. Respect to Cejudo for fighting for his life. And respect to the UFC. Even though I don't like Cejudo necessarily, and I think he ruined his career by retiring as a negotiation tactic, and I hate his constant baiting of retirements, he put on a fight here, man. He went out there and he was like, win or lose, I'm going to put on a great performance for my last fight. I don't think the UFC would have re-signed him anyway. I got to be honest. I think they would have cut his ass anyway. So we might see Cejudo in some influencer boxing coming soon. We really might. I don't think this will be the end of Cejudo. He'll be back in some way, shape, or form. Mark my words on that. Maybe he'll just compete in RAF, whatever the hell that's called. I forgot. RAF Wrestling. But yeah, Peyton Talbot gets it done. Put him against a top guy soon. I know I keep going back to the rankings. What is Henry Cejudo currently ranked? Number 10. Number 10. So Talbot gets a ranked win. Book him against Marlon Vera. Book him against Ayman Zahabi. I wouldn't mind seeing either one of those matchups. I think he beats the brakes off Marlon Vera, to be honest. Book him against Sean O'Malley. Great win from Peyton Talbot, as expected against Henry Cejudo. Next fight on the card, the featured fight on the card, we have Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. Taira got an early takedown. Moreno kind of gets like a triangle off his back, but isn't able to latch it up, isn't able to finish Taira. There was a couple times where Taira had his hand out. Like, I thought he was going to tap, but he didn't tap. You couldn't really see. Taira had him pressed up against the fence. And nothing really happened in the first round. The entire first round was Taira being in a triangle. Mark Smith even thought about standing him up, which I think is crazy. There's no way you'd be able to do that. And then late, Taira was able to finally scramble up, like last 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and then threw some knees in the clinch to really Moreno's forearms. Second round, Taira was able to get a takedown immediately to mount, was able to then take the back and flatten him out. And Moreno is clearly out-muscled. I mean, Taira is such an elite-level grappler. But, like, Moreno's still kind of moving a bit, and he's not, like, hurt badly. And he's getting flattened out, and Taira's just punching the forearms. Like, a couple of them are getting through. And then Mark Smith just jumps in. I'm like, ugh. I think he robbed Taira in a way. That's still a great win over a former champion in Moreno, but I feel like he kind of robbed Taira. I feel like Taira really would have just decimated him and actually got a true TKO finish. Instead, we're kind of like, that was early. Even the commentary team was saying it was early. I actually agree with them for a change. And yeah, I mean, Taira's the number one contender. As soon as this fight ended, I was like fantasizing. I'm like, fuck, Taira versus Pantoja's the fight, man. If Pantoja gets through Van, I can't wait to see Pantoja versus Taira. The grappling, the high-level grappling we will see on display in that fight. And I already knew at that point, I said, we can't ever get anything we want. We really can't get anything we ever want. So Taira gets it done a little bit early. I wasn't as mad about it because I think Taira would have got him out of there anyway. I don't think Moreno was getting out of that position. It was still plenty of time on the clock, and I think Taira would have eventually smashed him anyway. So I don't absolutely hate the stoppage, even though I would have liked to seen it go a little bit longer. Great win from Tatsuro Taira, who will now be taking on your new flyweight champion, Joshua Van, which is absolutely insane. We're going to get to the co-main event in a second. Brandon Moreno, I don't know where he goes from here. But, man, Taira is looking really damn good. Can't wait to see him fight for the title. Dana White was kind of teasing maybe a Japan title fight for Tatsuro Taira in his next fight. Anyway, next fight on the card, co-main event. What do we say about this one? Alexandre Pantoja loses via first round TKO against Joshua Van. I don't know what to say, man. There was a flurry. Pantoja landed a couple shots. He lands a head kick. Van catches it. Pantoja goes to post on his arm. His elbow dislocates. They say his shoulder dislocates. I don't know the medical jargon. It looked like his elbow dislocated. It was a nasty injury. Pantoja goes to the ground. He's kind of holding his elbows. Elbow's all fucked up. Looked like his arm was broken. I thought his arm snapped. And the fight's waved off. I don't know what to say about it. I'm disappointed. I'm disgusted. I was really looking. This was the first flyweight fight in a long time that I was like, you know what? We got a fresh contender here. Van looks really, really good. He's an interesting stylistic matchup for Pantoja. I think Pantoja's probably going to ragdoll him, but I can't wait to see. And this is what happens. Van did it, but did he really do it? I don't know. I don't want to take anything away from Van. It just sucked to see the GOAT flyweight go out like this, and he's damn near 36 years old. I don't think he's ever going to recover from this. This is one of those injuries, right? They said, it popped back in place. I don't think it's ever going to be the same again. This is going to be one of those chronic injuries, like TJ Dillashaw on his shoulder. I just don't think he's ever going to be the same again, especially at 36 years old. And if he's out for a long period of time while he's waiting for it to heal, maybe I'm wrong. But is he ever going to be able to grapple with the same ferocity that he did as champion? So it just sucks to see a GOAT lose his title in such a kind of freak accident. I know Van did it, but the typical outcome of catching a head kick is not somebody breaking their arm. That's just not the way it works. So again, I get Van did it. I hate to say it. I don't want to rain on Joshua Van's parade because at the end of the day, this was a life-changing moment. He won the title. He's young. He's happy to win the title, to beat the GOAT of the sport. He did nothing, man. He's celebrating. He's up on his coach's shoulder. Like, it gave me shades of Weidman Silva, which had me heated for fucking years. Weidman, after Anderson Silva broke his leg, snapped it in half, is on the ground writhing in agony. And, Chris grabbed the American flag, draped it over himself, and ran around the octagon going like this, which really disgusted me, man. And then was taking pictures, checking leg kicks after that. I guess karma got him. Is karma going to get Van? But yeah, I understand, but at the same point, I didn't really like it. It's looking like it's going to be Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira next. I favor Taira in that fight, but we really didn't see enough of the grappling exchanges in this to really know how good Van's grappling truly is. But I favor Taira in a Joshua Van fight, and that's a banger matchup. So as much as it's sad to see the GOAT of flyweight Pantoja go, and again, I don't think he's ever going to be the same again. He'll get a shot in his return. It's just this. I know it. I've seen it before, and this is exactly what I tell you guys all the time. We have to appreciate these guys when they're in their special moment in time, because like that, it's gone. Look at it. Pantoja's gone now. I know it might not seem like it now, and you're like, oh, well, he might come back, and maybe he does. It's highly unlikely, man. And the Pantoja run was fun. He didn't get enough credit. He has an underrated walkout. Many men. And now it's just all up in smokes due to an arm injury. I know DJ was probably beaten off to that, but Pantoja still has a way better resume than DJ in my opinion. Yeah, Van gets it done. He's going to be fighting Taira in his next fight. We really don't have anything from this fight. There's nothing really to talk about. It sucks. It is what it is. Anticlimactic. Anyway, in the main event, we have Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan 2. I knew this shit was going to happen all fucking week. And I hate myself. I couldn't stomach potentially making the dumbest pick ever. And like, man, damn, dude, how could you pick Yan? But I all week I said, look, this is a way closer fight, and I think Yan's going to win. I even tweeted it out beforehand. I was like, I want to change my pick. But you can't play that game. You'll drive yourself crazy. Yan beat the fuck out of Merab. First round is the only round you can give to Merab. Yan was pressuring early. Merab cracked him with a couple shots, but Yan was rolling with it well. There was a right hand that stung Merab, and that was the best shot from Yan in the round. Yan was kind of conservative, and then Merab started grappling. Yan was stuffing. Merab had like the back body lock, and Yan was trying to break the grip so badly that he could not break it. He started elbowing the forearms of Merab. First round's the only round you can give to Merab. I said probably Merab, but man, I thought Yan stumbled him. I really thought you could give that round to Yan as well. Then after that, Yan took over. Second round, Yan's just cracking him. Multiple big right hands. Yan got an easy takedown, then Merab then scrambled right out and ended up on top, but then Yan ended up back on top. And then in the second round, it's just Yan outstriking him. Merab spamming takedowns, getting closer and trying to get Yan off balance, but Yan's stuffing, and his balance is unbelievable, and he's cracking him with shots when he gets at range. Then third round, more of the same. And at one point in the third round, Merab starts to look for a guillotine as Yan has him clinched up. Yan's clearly winning the fight. Merab starts to look for a guillotine. He does it multiple times throughout this fight. Gets picked up and dumped on his fucking bald spot that he does not have, but if he was Leon Edwards, he would. It was nasty. Then later in the round, Merab shoots a takedown, gets like a fireman's carry, takes Yan down, but Yan right back up immediately. Right back up immediately. I mean, it was nasty. It was essentially Yan landing good shots on the feet, tagging Merab, and Yan getting a takedown or two, and then Merab getting the one fireman's carry, but it was just Merab like shooting and not being able to get Yan down, and then when Yan would get to space, he would crack him with good shots. And then the third round, Yan started to take over, man. He really started to take over. After he dumped him on his head, I thought I might put Merab out. He landed a couple good ground and pound shots, but then he hurts him with a body kick, and Merab starts screaming in agony, and then Yan kind of chases him down a little bit, but not too aggressive. Then the fourth round, it's just like, I thought after the third round, like, look, the first round could have went either way. Second and third, clearly Yan. Is Yan going to start to fade? No. Fourth and fifth round, Yan beat the living dog shit out of him. Was whooping him on the feet. Was hurting him to the body. Hurt him to the body with a punch in the fourth round. Rocked him with a punch on his chin in the fourth round as well. DC was like, somebody texted me. I think it was DC. Somebody texted me. Merab might have a jaw injury. Dude, Yan was butchering this motherfucker on the feet. Bad. And then the fifth round was just more of Yan just tagging him. Hurt him to the body more. Merab was trying to pressure and land big shots, but man, it wasn't working for Merab. It just wasn't working for Merab. Merab had nothing to offer. It was 49-46. One judge had it 48-47. I think the other two had it 49-46. I would assume first round for Merab for the two 49-46s, which I have no problem with. 48-47 is fucking outright delusional. And I know the right man won. Petr Yan wins the rematch. But who's scoring that 48-40? What round? So one and then one other round. I don't know what other round. It would have to be two because 3, 4, and 5 were just absolute blowouts. So I guess maybe two. Whoever that judge is needs to be fired. I don't care. You cannot see another round from Merab in that fight. And even round one could have went to Petr Yan. I said this all week. It was going to be the activity, man. Everyone was going to blame the activity. But, man, Yan is a fucking savage. Yan is nasty. I know Yan lost 50-45 in the first fight, which is crazy. Now, years later, he wins 49-46. Yan had corner issues. Yan allegedly had an injury in that fight as well. all that culminates with Yan making adjustments, still in his prime, Merab getting a little bit older, and Yan went out there and butchered him on the feet. The balance that Yan showed was incredible. Even shot a couple takedowns of his own. Merab got in tight on a couple guillotines, and Yan really addressed them. There was like one that was pretty tight. Not crazy, like not like you were holding your breath, but you could see the way Yan was fighting it. Almost kind of went to his back for a second. You could see that it was at least somewhat dangerous. Merab's grip is unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, Merab got bloodied up. He got battered. He was getting tagged with nasty shots. There was a massive right hand, I think, in the second round that just cracked him right on the nose and jaw. There was 2 of them that just landed clean. Merab was bloodied, battered, walking forward, 8 body kicks, 8 shots to the lip. I mean, there was one body kick I thought he was done for sure. I think it was that 3rd round. He screamed out in agony multiple times from the body shots of Petr Yan. What a crazy run of Petr Yan. Genuinely. I mean, think about it. At one point in time, lost 3 in a row. At one point in time, let me see if I can pull up. I don't know if this is going to work properly, but let's see if we can. At one point in time, lost 3 in a row. Lost 4 out of his last 5. I thought he beat Aljamain Sterling in the rematch. He beat Sean O'Malley, and then he lost to Merab. Merab was his only real loss, and now he avenged it. Went through Yudong, went through Figueiredo, went through McGee. What's crazy is Yan's so damn exciting, too. I don't ever want to hear people say, oh, he goes to decisions, man. Not Yan, but people say, oh, that fighter only goes to decisions. He's boring. Yan is not boring at all. And I got to be honest. I was a Merab defender for a while, and then I criticized Merab when need be. Merab was kind of coping in the post-fight interview. He was like, I tried to make it exciting for fans, man, and I lost, and he's the better man. You try to do what you always do. And I think Merab got way too much heat for quote-unquote being boring. He was never boring. He was always a fun fighter. He tried to fight exactly how he always fights, and he got shut the fuck down. Yan's balance was unbelievable. And then even when Merab was able to drag him down, the fireman's carry, at one point he had the back body lock and like kind of fell backwards and took him down. Yan scrambled right back up. There was no real control time. Let's see if it has I don't believe in the stats, but let's see. Does it have control time on here or no? No, it does not. Anyway, I was just curious what kind of control time they would have given Merab for that fight, because there was none. There was really none. Great win from Petr Yan to make those type of adjustments. Aljo was salty as hell. Merab gets on the mic and says, I tried to make it fun. No, you didn't. He's always fun anyway, but he's alluding to, I tried to be more exciting. That's why I lost this fight. No, you lost the fight because Yan was better. Maybe the weight cut, maybe the age catching up to you. I knew no matter what, if Yan won this fight, they weren't going to give Merab a trilogy. If it was up to me, I would probably give Merab the trilogy just for how active he's been. But I don't blame the UFC if they don't. Dude got 49-46. He really did. And I know, you could say, oh, well, he's so active and he was to go to the division and he hadn't lost in a bit. I talked about this week. I thought Merab got overrated a bit. He beat up, but I think O'Malley's a fucking scrub. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but I think he's a bum. He's not that good. O'Malley was an industry plant. Dana's little teacher's pet, like Bo. And I think Merab got elevated a little bit too much off of beating him. Now, don't get me wrong. He still had great wins. He beat Yan in the past. He beat Umar. The Corey Sandhagen win's decent, but not that great. Corey was like crazy, kind of overrated going into that fight. He was on a 1-fight win streak against Marlon Vera, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, it was a 1-fight win streak. I think Merab, we started to kind of elevate Merab to like some crazy, like I know he was the go to bantamweight, but crazy figure. And Yan, younger, more athletic, more skilled, and dude, he did not fade. And Yan didn't even look like he took any damage in this fight. That's the craziest part. He got clipped a couple times, but man, he didn't have a mark of damage on his face. Yan shut down Merab. And I don't think Merab's ever going to fight for a title again. I don't think the UFC is going to give him a title fight. I'm telling you, they don't fuck with Merab. Dana doesn't fuck with Merab. It's not fair, but it's reality. They are going to book Yan versus O'Malley. Oh, God, the Paramount Air screwing us. They're going to book Yan versus O'Malley if O'Malley beats Song Yadong at UFC 324. Or they're going to give Umar the next title shot, which I don't mind. Yan Umar has been my dream fight for so long. Merab squeaked by in that fight, emoting. That's the reality. I told you guys then. People called me biased for the Dagestanis. Merab squeaked by emoting. I thought Umar could have arguably won that fight. Maybe even 4-1. I would have gave it 3-2. But I gave it 3-2 Merab, barely. But you could definitely give it 3-2 Umar, even potentially 4-1. And I think now looking back, you're like, okay, well, he beat O'Malley. O'Malley's not that good. Who has O'Malley beat? And he beat Aljo. That was a fluke. I don't care what anyone says. Fluke. Fluke Central. Oh, he beat Petr Yan. Brutal robbery. So O'Malley's not that good. But Yan versus O'Malley is going to end up... Yan O'Malley 2, if O'Malley gets by Song, will end up headlining a Paramount Plus card. If it's not Umar, Yan told Merab, go fight Umar for #1 contender. That's what Yan said. Talk about psychological warfare from Petr Yan. Overall, really enjoyed the card. Can't believe it's the last pay-per-view. Can't believe we are at the end of an era. And, man, I didn't like Merab coping at the end, man. It just was a bad look. He got butchered bad. He got butchered bad. I knew it was over. I just said, oh, my God. If Petr Yan doesn't gas out, it's over. He was whooping. The commentary team was acting like it was closer than it was. This was basically a domination. This was damn near a shutout. What did Merab do in this fight other than shoot takedowns? Landed a couple good shots. Got the one fireman's carry. Wasn't really particularly damaging. The crazy takedown from Yan in the third round when he dunked him on his head was insane. I thought that might fuck Merab's neck up. But yeah, Yan gets it done over Merab to win back the bantamweight title that he lost years ago when he got DQ'd against Aljamain Sterling. He finally has it back. How crazy is that? Merab finally loses after all this time, after being so active. I think that's going to be a bit of an excuse. I have no problem with him running it back for a trilogy. I just don't think they're going to do it, especially considering Yan beat him up for 4 rounds. And Yan showed no signs of slowing down. And Yan is in his prime. Man, Yan is bantamweight champion. I absolutely love. I don't see who beats him. I would favor Yan against Umar. And who else? Yan's going to beat Merab in a rematch. Like, who else? I had the rankings. Who else is going to beat him? Who are they going to give it to? Ayman Zahabi. So it would have to be either Umar. Umar's the only guy that can beat him. I don't even see, like, Vinicius Oliveira, nah. Mario Batista, nah. Just lost to Umar. So, yeah, that's it, boys. That's a wrap for the year. That's a wrap for the pay-per-views for the year, for the big title fights for the year. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Trying to hit 50K. Only got a couple weeks left. We'll hit it in early 2026, worst case scenario. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.